I called, like, oh, I'm not sure I can get up there.
Hello and welcome back to the Lucha Central Weekly Podcast English Edition. This is Miranda Morales and I'm being joined by the dashing one, Dusty Murphy, and the one and only Brendan Barr. We have a very special guest with us at this time. He is one of South America's most decorated luchadors, a former Chile Lucha Libre All-Stars champion and the reigning Líder Wrestling Association LWA Peru International Champion. U.S. audiences may know him from his work at Beyond Wrestling, GCW, TNA, and Evolve. And you can see him on MLW Major League Wrestling on Wednesdays, where he amazes with his high-flying abilities and his tenacity. Please welcome to the Lucha Central Weekly Podcast, the aerial artist, Zenshi. Welcome.
Yeah.
Woo! First of all, you've done your research, guys. You've done your research. Oh my gosh, that was very well done. Very well done. But hey, I got one bone to pick, Miranda. One bone to pick with you, and I gotta pick it. You can't call me a high flyer. I'm the aerial artist, a cut above the rest. But everything else, you nailed it.
Well, you can. I mean, you got both. Top. That's the thing. You had the high flying, and then you got the aerial artist. You know, you have levels. You have niveles. You got all the levels here. You are truly an artiste. And so we are so excited to have you on the podcast. We are a huge fan of your work, and we're just very honored to have you. So thank you for carving out some time for us.
Muchas gracias. El artista aéreo es aquí. See, I've been working on my Spanish for too long. My Spanish has been so bad, it's terrible. Now it's just kind of bad. You know what I mean? So I'm working up.
That's my gimmick on this show. I'm the one with the bad Spanish on this
show. Now we have gimmick infringement. Yeah.
Great minds think alike.
Yes. Well, we're going to start off. Brendan actually has the first question, so go ahead and take it away.
I mean, it's the one I always love to ask. Like, what attracted you to Lucha Libre? And then as a follow-up, what attracted you to Lucha Libre in, shall we say, less traditional countries? Like, everybody thinks Mexico, but you went to other places.
Yeah, who the F wrestles in Chile, right? Like who goes to Bolivia? Like who does this? What are you doing? Like everybody's like, all right. So well, I got to go back. Rey Mysterio. Who doesn't love Rey Mysterio? He's the one that made me a believer.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you. I used to watch the WCW and WWF kind of Monday Night Wars with my brother, but then I was 6 years old. I don't remember a whole lot other than like Sting was my favorite, and I remember Hulk Hogan a little. My brother's favorite was Booker T and Goldberg, but just watching it with my bro, I kind of fell out of it after he stopped watching it. But it was around maybe 12 years old, maybe 11 years old. I was in a pizza parlor waiting for my pizza. It was a Friday night, and of course they had Friday Night SmackDown playing on the TV, and I look up. And, it's taken an exceptionally long time, but I didn't care because this M&M tag team was on the screen, and they were just the most outlandish thing I've ever seen. I'm looking around, I'm like, is this okay? Like, no one's going to tell me I can't watch this. I'm just like, what is going on? And I'm glued to the screen for many different reasons. And then the next song comes on, and this little guy with a mask comes popping out of the floor, and he's boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, this guy looks cool. And he jumps into the ring, and then this muscle guy comes out, and Batista. And I watched that match, and I was like, this is so dope. And all those feelings when I was watching them when I was a kid started coming back. And at that time, I was a competitive gymnast, like a very high-level competitive gymnast.
Awesome.
So I, did all the high flying. Like I could do a backflip in my sleep, right? Especially at that time. But I had just kind of quit gymnastics, and I needed something to do. And, I had all this energy. So when I saw Rey Mysterio doing backflips on people's heads and spinning people left and sideways, I was like, I can do that. I can do that. And I became a fan. And that's really when I became a hardcore wrestling fan, was that moment.
that makes so much sense. Just knowing you could do that and seeing somebody do it is just, yeah. It was a great era for wrestling too. Like you had lots of people doing crazy stuff, and you had that larger than life presentation out of Eminem. I still remember that entrance. That was crazy.
Yeah.
For sure. I could never miss a Friday Night SmackDown for like 5 years straight.
Right on.
How did you get started training, and like who did you train with?
So I trained with the WWA 4 wrestling school. Back then it was owned by Total Protection, Mr. Hughes. Good old Total Protection. You know, he stole the Undertaker's urn once. You know, he'll make sure you know that. He'll make sure you know, because, you know.
Well, if he's alive to say about it, then we probably should remind everyone.
He reminds everyone. He was Chris Jericho's bodyguard for like 2 weeks, you know, so he makes sure you know. But I'm picking on him. But the WWA 4 wrestling school, and it was weird because I'm like, so at 12 years old, became a fan, kind of closet wrestling fan. And, kind of watched it, but didn't have a whole lot of friends in the same space. It was around 16 when I was really like, I want to try this out. Like, what do I have to do? So Googling, and I found this weird wrestling school with a number in it. Like you expect, okay, WWE, NWA, WWA 4, like that doesn't make sense to me. It's this old timey website, like really 1990s Windows 95 looking thing. And I'm like, this is the worst piece of shit website I've ever seen. However, I gotta go. It's 25 minutes away.
You can't beat the convenience.
So every Thursday, what was cool about the WWA 4 is they had a free show every Thursday for the students. And that's so awesome because if you're a student, you get to practice,
Yeah.
But it's also free. So, we went to the show, and okay, we sit down. We're like, we're in the right place. Like, okay, it's 8:23. Like, the show starts at 8. Okay, there's like 13 people here. All right, including myself and my mom. All right, we sit around the ring, and we see the show. That must be him, Mr. Hughes. He's really big, and he's walking around with a scowl, and he's chewing tobacco in his cup. Total old school type vibe. And there's like 5 rings, and 3 of them are broken, and it's in the back of a strip club. Like, this is like the seediest thing you've ever seen, right? Literally got to go through the club wax strip club parking lot to get to the back. And then, in typical Atlanta fashion, the show starts like 35 minutes late. Ding, ding, ding. Okay, the first match. And there was 3 matches, and none of them were particularly good. But I could see that these students were learning, and I was like, I could do it better than them. I could do this. Like, it was my first live wrestling ever, and and I remember getting into the ring, and so here I am, a kid, like, oh man, I could be better than all these wrestlers. The end of the show, I didn't ask for permission to get in the ring. I kind of snuck in the ring. I was a little rebel, and I was like, this mat probably isn't hard, and I threw myself down. And I had the most pain I've ever felt in my entire life. I did all wrong. I threw out my back. It was awful. And I just barely managed to climb out of the ring before I got caught, right, by Mr. Hughes walking around the corner. And Mom was like, hey, come meet Mr. Hughes. And I'm like, hi, how you doing? Because I'm in so much pain. I'm like, yeah, it's good. And then I had a respect for wrestling at that point. It's like, oh gosh, I got to do this right. If I'm going to train, I got to do this right. So I got a job, saved my money, and here we are 11 years later.
Nice.
So cool.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't come back after that first bump, and you didn't have somebody
so many
tell you how to do it.
Seen so many people come and go, for sure. Yeah, I still train at the WA 4. I went all 3 days this week and to the school show. I still go. It's different.
Really cool.
AR Fox owns it. It's a completely different animal now. It's he trains some of the best wrestlers you've ever seen. Leon Ruff on NXT just signed. Austin Theory, talking about Apollo Crews came in with me, same class. So WA4 is a completely different beast now, and it's so cool to have seen it in the old days, been through the system, and I still come back, help the kids out. It's
that's
fun.
Super cool. It's super cool that anytime somebody gives back to the schools, even if it were still the same environment in the back of a strip club, it's awesome when people are giving
new
back
building
to
now,
that, right?
We're down the street.
Let's
we got our own facility. It's so much better, but Fox is doing a great job with it. Fox is doing great with it.
Yeah. I've seen some pictures.
All right.
So, yeah.
What was your impetus towards kind of training in America, but then going to South America, going to Peru, going?
Yeah, so all that was on accident. Like you don't plan this. Like,
right.
Not that it was. Okay, so I'm trying to like find a good point to begin because like you have to understand certain things to understand another thing. You know, I'm trying not to go all over the board because I could, but basically the aforementioned AR Fox, he's like my mentor in wrestling, especially coming in at the WWE for my first day of training. He's like, "Hey, who's your favorite wrestler?" And I'm like, "Rey Mysterio." He's like, "Who's your second favorite wrestler?" I'm like, "Matt Hardy." And he's like, "Who's your third favorite wrestler?" And I said it never a WWE person. He just goes, "Ugh," and walks away. That's when I learned about independent wrestling. No idea. WWE was just the only thing.
Yeah.
So, and Fox
then.
at the time was someone that was really starting to break into the indies and really kind of increasing his profile. He was our first success, really big success. And every time he would go to like get on at CZW or Dragon Gate USA, he'd come back to the school and let all the people know how it happened, what happened, the insider things. He was kind of the first one, the first soldier, so to speak, right? 3 years my senior. So, long story short, there was a little company in Chile called Chile Lucha Libre, this little group of wrestling family. And they wanted to be part of the international conversation. They wanted to be part of the global wrestling lucha economy, I call it, right?
Yeah.
And they had this idea to find one of the best wrestlers they could afford and that they liked, bring them there and crown them their international champion. And AR Fox happened to be the person that they found and connected with. So Fox goes and wins this championship in Chile and brings it back to the United States, and everyone's like, "There's wrestling in Chile? Like what? Like what is this weird championship?" But it was legit. Like you can't take this away from him. It was like a cool asterisk. Long story short, I ended up challenging him for the title, and lost. And then he went back to Chile. Well, he showed him the match. He showed all the promoters and everything, and they were absolutely blown away. They were like mind on the floor, and they were like, "We have to have this guy here." And they, along with Beyond Wrestling, was the place that we had that match, and that match really put me on the map in a lot of ways. I got a lot of bookings just from that match. But Beyond Wrestling immediately wanted a rematch. So they scheduled it for Fet Music, and then by the time the Chileans saw it, they were like, "Well, he can put the title in the line again. Like, let's do it." So I got a rematch, even with a loss. And then I won. And then that was kind of crazy. So now I'm this kid that's kind of trying to prove himself. And I beat AR Fox, who's the hottest thing at the time. 1, 2, 3 for this international title. No one knew what it meant. I didn't know what it meant. But that started such a beautiful relationship where I would go back and forth to Chile and defend this thing. And almost 2,000 days later, I still had the title. At 1,995 days is where we got to.
Oh, that's so cool.
Through the years, they've become my family, to the point where I feel like I'm spiritually from Chile. I learned so much, through my career. And understanding the different countries. So that's the condensed version.
It's really fun.
Super fun. Can't wait to go back to Chile. Like, they haven't had a lot of wrestling in South America. Mm-hmm. Well, no wrestling in South America since the pandemic. Actually, I was on the last 2 shows in South America since before the pandemic. The last 2 in the main event, and in Peru. And it's just been real tough with the quarantine, 5-month quarantine in Peru and the different travel restrictions. But I will say this, as soon as they have their shows again, I want to be a part of the first show in every country in South America when they come back. I got to.
That would be amazing.
That's the goal.
That's a great goal. Yeah, it's a really great goal. So you mentioned learning about the indies and being spiritually bound to these South American areas. Can you describe for the some of us that like kind of the similarities and differences in the indie structure there versus here?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Well, in America, there's no shortage of wrestling shows to be a part of. Well, I'm kind of speaking pre-pandemic too, because the landscape has completely changed now.
Of course, yeah.
So this was a little more true before last year, but it's still, there's a lot of opportunities here. In South America, Chile, Santiago specifically, has become like the epicenter for a lot of the wrestling in South America. It's probably one of the only places you could be a wrestler and kind of stay semi-active is the Santiago area. Outside of Santiago, there's wrestling in Chile, but maybe one or two promotions here or there. In Peru, there's literally 3 promotions, and one doesn't even run very often. There's 2. And in Bolivia, there's like 2. You know what I mean? In Paraguay, there's 1. In Ecuador, there's probably like 3. Colombia, maybe 3. It's very it's struggling, you know, and part of that is the enormous cost for anyone outside of South America to come there. So think about over time, you got the veterans that were there, they're only getting older. You know, they're doing their best to teach the next generation, but without fresh blood, of course, their ideas are going to get kind of stale. You know, you need if the wrestlers aren't working, if they're not wrestling people better than them, foreigners that can bring them things that they can't know, over time, the wrestling economy kind of struggles, you know, in places like that are kind of far off. And not just South America, like Zimbabwe, I'm sure there's plenty of people that would love to be wrestlers there, but how? You know, it's tough.
Yeah.
So it develops in pockets. So Santiago is a huge pocket, you know. Lima's a good place to wrestle, but it's very different. Very different. Very different.
You brought up the wrestling economy a few times. Can you tell us a little bit about your work with LuchaWare and how that project is, you know, working towards developing and building the wrestling economy in several Latin American countries?
You're sharp, Miranda. You're sharp. Yeah. So I got this thing going on. Who likes video games in the room? Anybody knows Zelda?
Yes.
Zelda, the old Triforce, you know, everything working together. So I created this little thing over the pandemic period, you know, and I had this in my mind for some years, but it took sitting at home, not being able to wrestle, trying to figure out what do we do if we can't wrestle, for you to finally give birth to these ideas. You know, we all got them, right? We all got them. So one of those points is called LuchaWare. One of those points is called the League of Luchadors, the LOL for short. And one of those points is called We Can Lucha. And I'll speak to that one first. We Can Lucha is kind of like our way of giving back. You know, like I've said, all these years I've been going to Chile. Let me start with this. My first trip that I went to Chile was in 2014. I had just won this title, this bright-eyed kid that's only been in the business a couple of years, blah, 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 blah. Now they want to bring me here, and they treated me like a king. They treated me in a way that I've never been treated on the indies as just a throwaway guy, a number in the locker room. You know, there's so many dirty, deceitful people, promoters, wrestlers. There's a lot of good people too, but especially at that time, like, people like to take advantage of you. It was a different environment in Chile. I was the way I was treated was and respected. To the point where it's like, okay, all right, you make the match. Like, you're here. Like, we listen to you. And I'm like, almost overwhelmed. Like, I'm like, you guys got it wrong. I'm just some kid. Like, I can't handle this. But they trusted me with that. And it was a learning experience. Okay, so then I come back maybe a year later and it's great, blah, blah, blah. The third trip, as I'm getting to know these people and they're really welcoming me in their homes, I realize these people are taking 2 or 3 jobs. They're using their savings in order to pay for the plane tickets and to pay me and they paid me well, but they paid me my rate, you know, they didn't, because they knew, just to do that, you know? And I was like, wow, like, that's crazy. So how can I, like, I love coming back. I want to come back more often, you know? How can I, like, do this? This is where the fun is. Like, I love international tours. So I was like, I got to come up with a way where I can facilitate this and make this easier. I was also doing seminars down there, like, with the crew and things like that. And they learned a whole lot. So with LuchaWare, basically that's where we make the money. I have a team of 5 artists, and growing every day. And we pair up with some of the best up and coming and awesome wrestlers you've ever seen. Zeta Zhang, Mr. Grimm, Mr. Grimm Space Mask right here. Facade, you got, these are people that have been good to me. These are people that have been good to me during my career, people that have, always shook my hand in the locker rooms and, would look out. These are the first people I want to invite to this. And basically, with LuchaWare, we get together and make some of the coolest merch you've ever seen. Face masks and shirts and all kinds of things. Check it out, www.luchaware.art.
Yeah.
And basically,
which is a cool name too.
Yeah.
If I'm talking too fast, let me know. I go all over.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, keep going.
Okay, cool. So, and actually yesterday we just redesigned the website completely, and we have a sale going on. Everything's 15% off, and I'm just so proud to see where we've come, because it was just a concept in April, and I'm making phone calls and calling in favors, and it's come together so organically. But the wrestlers get a percentage, the artists get a percentage, and then a percentage goes back into the pot so we can keep it going. So that's LuchaWare. That's kind of how we make the money. All right, so what do you do with all these luchadors? I call all wrestlers luchadors. What do you do with all these luchadors? Well, they're together in a Marvel DC type universe called the League of Luchadors. So over time, as we get more money, as we develop, that's our promotion. That's our wrestling promotion. That's our comic. That's our universe. That's our Luchaverse. And you won't believe the cool stuff I have planned for that. But right now, LuchaWare's first. Boom, League of Luchadors. You're going to see more of that maybe towards the end of the year, maybe into next year. And then finally, We Can Lucha. That's giving back. So that's kind of the Triforce.
That's really, really cool. I have to say, when I logged onto the website yesterday and looked at it, I was blown away to see my boy Rook Kelly on the front page. So I wanted to give that shout out here so that he can.
Hey, he trained at the WWE before. We trained together.
Yeah, right on. That's awesome. He's a regular up here in Seattle. He's a great guy, and you mentioned the Marvel stuff, and I could just imagine his head exploding when you suggested that to him, because that's all he does is draw himself as a Marvel superhero. Shows. It's great.
Yeah, Rook's awesome. I'm looking to have a match with him soon. I would love it.
I hope you do. I will be there. I'll be in the front row. I guarantee it. So on the LuchaWare site, if I buy some Rook Kelly merchandise, you're saying that's going to go towards all of this. So I'm also supporting those luchadors in South America.
Yes, definitely.
Awesome.
It was our goal right now is to be on every single show, the first show back in South America. So all the money we're earning towards that is going to that pot for plane tickets and all types of things. Right. And I want to use the League of Luchadors, whoever's available, and bring them down there with me.
That's fantastic.
Just take this now. You can have that right now.
He's done. He's sold. Literally, he's sold on this. So that's fantastic. He's just done. I mean, and we as a trio too. I mean, are always, especially Brendan and Dusty, are huge on the art. Kind of your aesthetic and your mask style, and where that influence came from, and how did you decide on your style as far as your gear and especially your mask?
I appreciate it. You cut out a little bit in the beginning. Did you say? Can you just repeat the first part of the question?
Yeah. Just wanted to know more about your style and your aesthetic, more about the history of your mask and your gear, your color. All of it. We definitely want to know.
I got a question. When did you maybe individually you have different answers? When did you come across my work? What year or what era?
I would say for me, it's honestly been within the past year with the work in MLW. I think
for me as
probably
well.
Brendan's probably a little bit longer because he's more familiar with some of the other promotions he worked with.
That gives me some context. Okay, so a little tidbit. Back in 2012, September 30th, 2012. So this is maybe 2.5 years, and this is in Beyond Wrestling. My debut in Beyond Wrestling, actually. We got this opportunity, WWA4 showcase match for our school, right? Myself versus Baron Black, who's, you might have seen him on AEW Dark recently.
Yeah.
In the last couple of weeks. He trained with me as well. He came right in with me at the school, and Fox got us an opportunity at this up and coming place called Beyond Wrestling, and that match is infamy because at the end of that match, I went for a double moonsault and under rotated.
Oh.
Broke my skull, cracked my skull.
Oof.
Yeah. You probably have already seen the video and don't even know it was me. That video went viral. Millions and millions and millions and millions of views. Edge has seen it. Beth Phoenix has seen it. Tommy Dreamer, Matt Hardy. Like, I'm sure Vince McMahon himself has seen it. This is before the mask. All that. Tosh.0, World's Dumbest. Ridiculousness. Like, I could be famous off of that, like, if I went that way. Anyway, so this happened. Boom. Once I found out I was going to make a full recovery, in my heart, I knew I was good. But I had a lot of decisions to make, right? I had a lot of choices I could have gone. At that point in my career, I wasn't taking this wrestling thing too seriously. I wasn't training like I should. I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't keeping my aerial skills up to date. Like I told you, I'm a gymnast. I went all the way up to level 10. I can do this in my sleep, but maybe I didn't figure at the end of a wrestling match in a different place that I've been traveling all day without sleeping on Red Bull. Like, you know, I'm 21 years old, making not great decisions.
Making the 21-year-old type choices,
Right. So I break my face, and I'm like, I could quit wrestling. I could keep wrestling, but tone it down. There's a lot of things. Or I could come back and show you guys that I can be the best high flyer you've ever seen. Because all those comments on it leaked, and if you look on YouTube, you can find it. Type in World's Dumbest Wrestler. That's me. Charade. That was my name back then. And all those comments. There's a lot of good comments, but a lot of this guy sucks and laughing, blah, blah. And that could have destroyed me, but that gave me fuel. So in my mind, I was like, no, you guys just wait. You guys wait. When I recover, boom. It just so happened the time that I did recover, I got an opportunity with Chikara. Actually, my first match back was at a seminar with Mike Quackenbush, and he was like, he knew who I was. Everyone knew who I was. Now it's like, before I even prove myself to the world, everyone knows I'm that guy that broke my head. Anyway, so then I got on with Chikara, and he's like, hey, you need a new character. You need something that's, I don't know what a charade is. I'm like, I don't know either. And he's like, give me something. So, with the mask. But going full circle, Charade was like the Phoenix that rose from the dead, who came back, you know? And the Phoenix kind of gave birth to the dragon, which was Shinron. The dragon had that yang energy. Like, I'm going to show you guys. I had something to prove, you know? Like, I'm going to show you I could do things that you've never seen. Like, that was my energy. After a while, though, 2016 maybe, I had wrestled the Young Bucks. I'd wrestled Amazing Red, wrestled my heroes, Matt Hardy. I had done things. I had been traveling. I had been doing shows and shows and shows and shows and traveling. I was burnt out. I was like, I need something else. Like, is this what it is? And I had to find my zen, so to speak. I had to really kind of separate it. I didn't stop all bookings, but I stopped seeking bookings. Like, I just kind of let it ride. I needed to figure it out. And I figured I needed a new direction. And Zenshi means complete history. It means complete history. So I feel like now I'm a much more well-rounded, complete performer. Shinron was all about high flying, but he didn't really know how to wrestle. You know what I mean? He didn't really know how to put it all together. Charade was the kid who his first day out gets hit by a truck, but survives and shows that grit, and the whole wrestling world's like, okay, this guy's tough. You can't take it away. Put it all together. You got the yin and the yang now. I feel like I'm more complete as a performer, person, and Zenshi. So, So that's the history. So the mask, you got the Phoenix on one side, and it's a little more open and exposed, like my face before I had the mask. You have the dragon that's completely covered. And this mask was made by Lunatic Mask in Peru. And I have one for every country that I've wrestled in. So,
that's so
Peru,
cool.
Chile, and
Yeah, very, very cool.
That is fantastic.
I
And it's
love
also
it.
that story of you and your travels throughout Latin America too, almost that kind of that souvenir, but you have a piece with you always of the places that you've traveled, and it's a representation of your spirit. And again, I mean, tenacity is one of the words that I think of when I think of your matches, and your ability is always.
I appreciate it.
Always with that. I mean, wanting to pivot a little bit, you've had a really unique match recently on MLW as part of Tom Lawler's Filthy Island. I mean, that was something else. How do you prepare for a match of something like that? I mean, no ropes, barely a ref. And honestly, I think commentary and the fans, your match against Kevin Koo was definitely one of the more athletic ones out of the entire show, where it was a little bit more comical, but that was pure athleticism. The way that you utilize the ring posts, the tree coming off from a tree. I mean, can you kind of explain how do you prepare for something that unique?
Not you're going to be very surprised. I love that match. That was my favorite match that I've had in MLW so far, or maybe in the top two, because I also enjoyed the match with Laredo Kid. Yeah. That was a very interesting match. So, I'm gonna tell you a real story. I'm gonna tell you a real story. Because
My favorite
I like
kind.
to keep it in character, but you know what? It's Friday night. Oh man, I'm breaking my own rule here, but I feel like so comfortable with you guys. So we did these tapings, right? So we did these tapings, and dang, I got to be careful. But basically, the day of the show, I'll tell you, the day before the show, I wrestled 4 times. 4 times.
Wow.
10 a.m. to about 11 p.m. I was the first to a match in the ring, basically, or maybe the third, and the last match. I was a workhorse to the point everybody was like, dang, you're wrestling again? Every time I see you out there. I don't know why, but okay, they worked me. The next day, I only had 1. And I was kind of feeling diva that day, too, because I was like, you know what? I worked so hard yesterday. I'm getting late. I'm strolling in on the last ferry to the place. I'm getting my coffee. Like, I was totally taking my time. I get there. Apparently, they wanted me there earlier because they were like, you got this match? And I'm looking in the ring. I'm like, why does everybody seem like they're in a hurry? There's nobody in the ring. Like, what's going on? They're like, oh, go outside. So I'm like, okay. So I go outside. And they were like, no, keep walking. So I keep walking. And then I notice there's another ring. There's no ropes. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Everybody's outside. And I'm the late one walking in. And they're like, hey, Zenshi, you got a match like now. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, I'm still like whopping the cobwebs out of my eyes. I literally meet my opponent like maybe it couldn't have been longer than 40 minutes before I was in that tree. Like, I walk out there and I see what's going on, and I'm like, I am too sleepy / high for this. But I got together with my opponent, and I guess I'm good at this. I guess I'm a veteran because we pulled that off. We pulled it off.
You made it look great.
And you made it Kevin Koo, because that kid can go. Yes. And we created Masterpiece, and we had to do it like this. And it came together, and it was what it was. I enjoyed it.
It was awesome. It was
It really was. Yeah.
Literally. So it sounds like you were just in that tree. You're like, so this is what's going to happen.
I was just like, okay, well, let's start it with me jumping out of the tree. How about that? I'm not going to give up an opportunity to jump out of a tree. So
right? Like,
no. Yeah. Perfect start.
Yeah. When if opportunity knocks, but it doesn't beg. So
the best part is I was off the rest of the day.
So when it's done,
and relax.
That's all you needed. It was that good. It was that good. I mean, speaking of your opponents, you faced Laredo Kid, Hijo de LA Park, Calvin Tankman several times, Dominic Guarini. Who else on the MLW roster do you have your eye on?
Man, it's been interesting. I haven't been able to really get all of the matches that I'd like to have. Especially I had just signed with MLW and I was ready to go, and then we had this giant break, involuntary break, and so that kind of threw a monkey wrench in a lot of things. I had a great match with El Lindemann back in Philadelphia. I really enjoyed that one. I really had my eyes on Myron Reed. And then the clown lost his belt. So, we got a new hot prospect in town. We got Leo Rush.
Yes, yeah.
I'm content to let Leo Rush and Myron Reed work out their bad blood. I don't feel like that's over. And then you got Laredo Kid in the mix, and then he beats Laredo for the title. So Leo Rush right now is coming in hot. He's coming in hot. So
yeah,
on him, but I kind of want to see where the chips fall, because I feel like we got rematches. I'm gonna let the boys fight, and I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna see what we can stack up. Besides the middleweight division, because it's a little busy right now, I'm all about those style matchups. I love Styles Clash type matches, and something like the open weight title I think it's perfect for me as a wrestler who loves to be free and not be restricted by weight. I would love a shot at Hammerstone and championship.
Yes. And I know from his social media and talking with him, he loves wrestling quote unquote little masked guys. So
and I like wrestling big beefy guys because I like to show them that I can take you down. That's exactly what Rey Mysterio did. That's why he's such a baller,
right?
Like, so it doesn't matter. So
I think it would be a great story.
Amazing. Hammerstone is also he's part of the League of Luchadors. You can check out the Hammerstone Stormbreaker gear on luchaware.art. Hey.
Oh man, that one is sick too. I was looking at that.
The great Jack, I got to put the artist over. Jack Purcell. He's an artist in Massachusetts, longtime Shinron fan. He came on with us during the pandemic. He does some of the best. He's drawn for Marvel and DC. He's some of the best detailed artwork. He's the man.
So cool.
That's very cool.
And we got to take it a step above. I mean, you are the aerial artist. So who else in the world of Lucha Libre, of pro wrestling, would be a dream to face?
Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
Easy
a
answer.
fan of him from Lucha Underground. He's a great guy. We're friends, actually. Every time I see him, he's like, hey, buddy, amigo. Like, it's great. He's such a happy guy. He's just such a happy character. I don't know of another, like, a happier locker room person than Phoenix. So I definitely would like to wrestle him. And obviously Pentagon, he's a little more quiet in the locker room. I'll just say that, a little more reserved. Looks like he's gonna kill me. I look his way. But he can be nice too. I would love to wrestle those guys. Obviously Mysterio, that match never happened. Would love to have that match. Mark Quinn from Private Party. We wrestled back in the day at NEW in a great opener. But it's been a long time, and we're both way better now, and we're both really good friends, and I would love to kick his ass. Let's see. Obviously, I would love to wrestle all of my the wrestlers at the League of Luchadors. Bobby Flacco is our newest one, and we haven't had a one-on-one. I would love to wrestle him. Tankman was on that list for a while, actually. I had been following Tankman, so I'm glad that happened. There's quite a few.
There's a lot. Well, that's a list, but it seems like you got a lot going on, even, during this time with MLW, with LuchaWare, with Liga Luchadors, everything. So we greatly appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being on the Lucha Central Weekly podcast. Can you let our listeners know where they can find you on social media? Any links? Anything that you want to let our listeners know? Go ahead. The floor is yours.
First of all, I appreciate you having me. This has been a lot of fun. I've got stories for years, so anytime you want to come back, this is cool.
This is just one of many, so just clear the schedule sometimes, and we'll bring you back on.
It's a different time in wrestling. I've got a lot more time in the gym and training than actually performing. It's just how the cookie crumbles right now, so I'm trying to stay occupied and stay busy. So I would love fans, reach out to me. I'm pretty open. Maybe we can have a conversation or something. Instagram, I'm pretty active on at The Aerial Artist. Facebook at The Aerial or / The Aerial Artist is where you can find me. Most of my energy is with luchaware right now. www.luchaware.art. Adding more wrestlers. Taking care of the artists and scaling up and growing. So that's where you can find me.
So I have to ask a question. Dusty and I are both big mask collectors. We're part of a mask collecting group. Is there any chance that you're going to put some of those beautiful masks up on the Luchaware site at some point?
You mean Ringward?
No,
Ringward mask or
that
not
too.
necessarily. That too, but any of your, because you have makers that make beautiful masks. Every time I see you, you've got a good looking mask. So even if you just get them to put up something.
We're working on it.
Awesome.
My mask maker's in Peru, and I was just in Peru in December and January, but since they changed the rules, they made it a little bit harder for me to get there. So as soon as we can, I would love to get some masks so you can have your own.
Yes, that would be
keep my eyes
amazing.
open.
Yes.
I figured since I know there's people that are going to listen to this that are going to ask me that question and ask me why not. I figured I'd throw it out there now. So
sure. Yeah, Luchaware's going to be the place. We're going to be adding things all the time.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Again, a big thank you to the aerial artist himself, Zenshi, for joining us here at the Lucha Central Weekly Podcast English edition. We will be back with the rest of this week's show. Stay tuned. Don't forget to go to luchacentral.com, your centralized place for all things Lucha Libre.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, man, that was so much fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. All right.
Loved
hit me up for the next time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, gosh, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure and an honor, so thank you.
Cool. All right, let me know. Send me the links and everything when this is out.
Yeah, it should be in about a week